Beyond the Bell, Bloomberg's comprehensive cross-platform coverage of the U.S. market close starts right now.
And right now, we are about 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick, Katie Greifeld, we're counting you down to the closing bell, and here to help take us beyond the bell. It's a global simulcast. Carol Massar, Tim Stenovec stepping up here. We welcome our audiences across Bloomberg Television, Radio, Quick Take, as well as on YouTube. A soft CPI report this morning, Carol, that seems to be the catalyst here for what is a pretty decent rally. We should point out, we keep talking about the S&P. It's up about 0.3%. The cyclical stocks are having a great day. In fact, the Russell 2000 up almost 2%.
And I was so afraid you were going to steal my thunder there, Romaine, because take a look at
Chinese.
No.
No? Oh.
How's that? I'm going to do something different. Bitcoin, it is up 8.6%.
Whoa.
I know. $18,895. I mean, it just feels like investors are willing to, kind of bid up a lot of things right now.
Is that a bargain? I don't know.
You know what it must be? You know what it is, guys?
The DCF
crypto
analysis?
crisis is over. Tim and Katie can come back and do their crypto show.
Oh, thank you, Carol.
That's my gift to you guys.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
I mean, there is certainly something in the sentiment today.
Did you see that story?
Yeah.
Shonali came on.
Yeah,
Shonali came on our program and talked about it.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah, it was a really good story.
Yeah, a little violent. But.
Didn't he get a tattoo or something?
He did. Luna.
I don't think he likes to talk about that. I think that project ended pretty badly.
Well, he did make the point, and Shonali made this point on our air too, that when people like to talk about what they're buying, but they don't like to talk about what they're selling. And oftentimes it's only revealed when it comes to filings. And certainly in the case, he was able to get out of some of those collapsing tokens earlier rather than later. But still, the damage has been done.
Does he make that tattoo into something else?
Good question. That's a follow-up story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what can you make it into here? Anyway, look, guys. The rally that we had, and look, this has been a sustained rally over the last few days here. Modest gains on a day-to-day basis, but I think a lot of folks will take it. The Dow Jones Industrial Average going to finish higher by about 0.6% here on the day, while the NASDAQ Composite is higher by about 0.6% as well. As far as the S&P 500, I was keeping a close eye on this, that retest of the 200-day moving average, which sits right about 39.84 and change. The S&P 500 is going to close just shy of that by about a point, 39.83, higher by about 13.5 points, or about 0.3% here on the day. And I think a lot of people are really waiting to see if the S&P can cross above that 200-day threshold, and more importantly, hold on to it. The Russell 2000 also moving higher. In fact, that was your outperformer on the day, Carol, up 1.7%.
All right, good to know, Romaine. I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into the S&P 500. I feel like there was a little bit more of a bullish tone earlier in the session, or maybe just a couple of hours ago. But Katie, if I look at the S&P 500, you've got 280 names showing some gains today, 221 lower, 2 unchanged.
And it's a similar mixed bag if you look at the industry groups as well. You still have a lot of green. If you look up top, it's the energy names. Of course, crude is higher today. You also have chips doing well. They've been on a really nice run lately. Real estate also in the green by over 1%. You look at what's not doing too well all the way down at the bottom. It's food and beverages, it's utilities, it's staples, sort of leading the pack of the losers as more of those cyclical names really take charge, Carol.
All right, let's get to some of the specific gainers. It's a name that we talked about a lot after the closing bell because there was a bunch of headlines yesterday. We're talking about Disney shares finishing off their highs of the day, but still with a 3.6% gain. We know what's coming out. We've talked about this throughout the day here on Bloomberg. The company electing an independent director, Mark Parker, as a chairman of the board. But it's also really about this proxy war with activist investor Nelson Peltz. He wants a board seat. There's a lot going on. Bob Iger making some changes. So it's one we're going to continue to watch, but investors seeming to be excited to some extent about this name again. American Airlines, Tim talked about it earlier. This was a standout group, certainly in today's session. And this is what happens when American comes out, pre-announces, and they are very, very upbeat. AAL up just off its highs of the day, up about 9.7%. Number one in the S&P 500. UAL, United, was number two. Very upbeat, topping expectations for fourth quarter quarterly profit and revenues. Very, very upbeat. And I've got one more for you. This was top in the S&P and NASDAQ 100. Cognizant Technology Solutions up just shy of 6%. What?
Yeah, sorry,
What's the
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to add one quickly here too, because I mean we're flashing it on the screen below you for the television
Carvana?
audience. No, Bed Bath & Beyond closing up about 50% here on the day, and of course that adds to the 70% gain from yesterday. But I was taking a look at this, $5.24. That's the closing price. That's actually almost double where we were before we got that going concern statement back at the beginning of the year here when it was trading at about 250. So this isn't just bidding this stock back up to where it was. It's really gone back above and beyond it now at the highest levels going back to October. Not sure why, but there you go.
Oh, that's too bad. I was actually just going to ask you to explain it because it seems kind of meme stocky.
Well,
Yes.
More
Think about the day. You got Carvana up 46,
Yeah.
47%.
Bitcoin.
Marathon
Look at the
Digital.
short
Bed Bath &
positions on
Beyond.
these guys.
Exactly. Look at the short interest.
Yeah.
It's 50% of the float.
Right.
That's a target for some of the those, retail
And as soon as it
traders.
starts to
We've seen
go
it
up, right, everybody starts just chasing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a feedback loop when you have to cover those shorts. So there's some explanation there.
What's old is new again, I guess. Let's get to some of the decliners on the day today, starting with Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. Among the decliners on the S&P 500 today, down 3.4%. This after the company said it was acquiring the software startup Pachyderm. Details of the deal were not disclosed, but the company is going to accelerate AI time to market with lower processing and operating costs with this acquisition. KB Home also falling today, down 2.9%. Its fourth quarter results showed a drop in new home orders. They reported fewer than 700 new orders for the quarter. That's an 80% drop from the year before. And then Logitech, look at this, down 17% today. The company cut its non-GAAP operating income guidance for the full year. It missed the average analyst estimate. Analysts now saying the end markets are continuing to weaken, and this may not prove to be the clearing event that investors had actually hoped for. Shares down 17% today.
All right, and some of the individual stock movers, and you take a look at what happened in the yield space, and it was a pretty swift reaction here. The entire yield curve shifting lower here on U.S. Treasuries here, 4.12% right now on a 2-year yield. That's down almost 10 basis points here. Similar story for your 10, your 20, and your 30-year yield, 11 to 12 basis points lower, as now the repricing really starts to pick up steam in the bond market. And I guess that sets up a little bit of a showdown here for a Fed that still seems persistent on the idea that it's going to 5.1%, and may actually stay there. Whether the bond market is willing to call that bluff, that they may actually have to reverse course sometime soon, remains to be seen.
And you think about the read-through to financial conditions, really a hot topic, at least in my world. You've seen this incredible easing over the past 3 months.
What is your world? Is your world different than our
Cross-asset.
world?
It's cross-asset, it's bonds, it's crypto, it's financial conditions. And when you think about financial conditions, this is the mechanism
Beanie Babies.
through
Oh,
which,
shoot, that's going too far
not
back.
Beanie Babies,
All
but
right, sorry.
this is how actually tightening monetary policy touches the real economy. When you think about the wealth effect, when you think about funding costs for companies. So this theoretically will be a problem for the Fed. They've said as much. No one, it seems, is paying attention, but.
Yeah, the other thing I'm looking at a lot too is the dollar. Dollar index down about 1% in today's session. We've seen, certainly the dollar pull off its highs, and that's going to play out too into certainly global corporate profits. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of commentary we get from CEOs about maybe the impact that might have on their outlooks going forward.
I think investors are still breathing a sigh of relief that Jay Powell earlier this week in Europe didn't really hammer home the idea of interest rates staying high and for a long period of time and bringing inflation under control, because that's something that he had continued to do. And he didn't come out and squash this rally.
Yeah, squash this rally. Well, this sets us up here because, look, now I think we've kind of gotten some of the more important economic data. We're going to refocus, I think, on earnings. In fact, right now, crossing the Bloomberg terminal, I know a smaller company here, Virgin Galactic, the share is moving higher in after-hours trading. The company finally saying that commercial space service that they've been trying to launch, that is on track for a Q2 launch here. So something to keep an eye on here. We're also getting right now preliminary data coming out of Lending Club, and interesting that they're actually reducing their workforce by 14% and seeing a pre-tax charge there of about 5.7% here. So this is really going to be kind of the narrative, I think, going forward for the next couple of weeks. It's going to be much more about what we hear out of these companies, good or bad.
Yeah, we did just talk to Chris Igo over at AXA Investment Managers. He said, Katie, that when the only kind of like shoe to drop out there could be what companies say when it comes to earnings. But other than that, he thinks like really the worst is behind us, and we've gotten most of the bad news out of the way.
Famous last words.
I know, that's a good point.
We'll say that. And I mean, earnings is a huge, huge wild card. So, I mean, I guess we kick off officially tomorrow, even though it never ends.
Well, our market guest also said he liked the fixed income market maybe a little bit more than equities potentially, and to really look at something we talked about earlier. You have to, at this point, with yields moving up.
You said bonds are back.
Yields are a lot more competitive.
Well, what do you make of this, though? Because not only you talk about outperformance on bonds, but pretty much every other asset class is kind of outperforming equities, even U.S. equities, I should point out, because, of course, we know foreign equities are outperforming the U.S. as well. But I think it's kind of interesting that that is the relative laggard, even though you do have gains here, at least over the last 3 to 4 weeks.
It will be interesting. And then you think about cash, too, one of the best performers last year. When you think about a Fed funds rate, if it gets up to 5%, that seems pretty good. If you
know
just
what
sit
I
in
learned
T-bills.
today, Tim?
What did you learn?
Know that Katie has never had seafood?
I've had it before.
I did not.
I just
Did not
don't
know
like
that.
it.
Oh, you've had it
Things
before.
that come from the sea, I don't know.
Yeah, she's afraid of the water.
Yuck.
Other than that, we really love you, Katie.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
I like being here.
We like having you here. All right, that's a wrap for our cross-platform coverage on radio, on TV, on YouTube, on Bloomberg Quick Take. We did count you down to the close on this Thursday.
You have been counted down.
You're done. Drop the mic. We'll see you again, same time, same place tomorrow.